You're listening to the podcast for grain merchandisers by grain merchandisers. Join us in our good-humored attempt to serve as a voice of reason in an industry fraught with misconceptions and half-truths. And now, from deep in America's heartland, this is the Elevator's Cut.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of The Elevator's Cut. I'm one of your hosts, Roger Gattis.
And I am your other host, Jason Wheeler. And we are back with Harvest Time Companion Part 2. Part 2, some people may say, the French people.
The deuce.
Yeah. So anyways, we are back. So what that means is, all that means is our inane babble will be a little longer this episode. But hopefully actually less because we have a special guest for Harvest Time Companion this time around. The famous Scott Hansen.
There you go.
Scott, thanks for joining us.
I think I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
To be determined.
To be determined. Yes.
Quoted on this show recently, I think. So
I heard that.
You're a legend out here.
Yes. I am something.
Yeah. So, Scott, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you're from,
why you're here,
what you do around here.
Yeah, what do I do? I live in Iowa, have for my whole life, and our family had a grain elevator there, and 35 years ago, this November, I started work. 34 years ago, this November, I started working for White Commercial, and doing like you guys, going around the country helping people and doing the best we can, and having a lot of fun doing it.
Yes. We do that. Well, thanks for making the trip down.
It was a long trip. It was 3 hours in the car is a long time.
Yeah. And you had some other
agree.
stuff to do. You just worked us in. So we appreciate it nonetheless. But yeah.
Glad to do it.
Scott has definitely taught me a lot of the grain business for the years I've been in it. So
all of them,
all the years. But anyways, so we're glad to have you. Always have a good perspective and a well-seasoned perspective on things.
Is that a left-handed
right?
compliment?
Yeah, I think so. I tried to.
Well, can I just say something before
ahead.
we start? I've been debating about doing this, and I'm just going to do it. Do you remember the first time you and I met?
No.
You were sitting on the couch in the Hardy house, and your father-in-law today pulled me aside and said, "That's Megan's boyfriend." I said, "What do you think?" He said, "To be determined." So I guess you pulled it off, man.
Hey,
Congratulations.
man, I pulled off so much.
He might still say that to this day.
But I mean, yeah, it was really funny because it's like I've known you for all those years.
It's been a long time.
It is.
Since I was a small child.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was, been around for a while. But anyways, no, the backhanded compliment. So the thing Scott and I have is obviously we've been doing company meetings and workshops around the country, and I always like to get a little jab in at his age because he's
old.
He's celebrated more birthdays than I have, and so anyway, so that was my.
It's
my
true.
little
I'm
jab.
48, and you're only.
Yeah, we have a fun thing with that, and it's good. He makes fun of me for my youth and naivete, as the French would say. And I say, hey, that guy's
I think
older
we
than
may
me.
have to redo our shtick as he's getting all this gray in his beard.
I know.
It's happening.
It's not
It's
even
catching up.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not as satisfying
sure.
anymore.
Yeah,
so.
but Scott's been good because, we've gotten to work with him. I knew Scott when I was a customer of White Commercial, still at the elevator, and met you there, and then now get to work with you and do meetings. And that's the fun part, right, of doing meetings together. And when you get this, we're not the guys that have 86 slide PowerPoints to read off to groups. We'd rather have no PowerPoints and just kind of do like this, right? And go at it and speak to experience and stuff. So that's what makes it fun,
Sharing stories and experiences.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what people like.
So Scott, with his experience, has plenty of great stories and just fun times. And because people know him and know of his expertise, they come to him with questions at the Casey's, at the back, at the back of the church,
The back of the church.
wherever it is. They come to him with questions, and I will say, I mean, of people on the planet, I don't know if anyone's done more farmer meetings than Scott Hansen.
That's probably true.
I mean,
It's a lot.
It's
a lot.
So he's good at it. That's why he keeps doing them, because people keep asking him to come do those. So, anyways, mostly a lot of farmer in your like day-to-day life, a lot of farmers come up to you outside of your normal work exercises.
Your neighbors, right?
Where
Yes, my
they're
neighbors,
just like,
yes.
what's going on? And how about this market? With the way the market is right now,
What are we going to do?
what should we be doing? So lately, you were telling us a story at lunch about some folks at church that came up to you and
They were compelled by the Spirit
Yes.
and then talked to you.
They were compelled.
and your wife was compelled by the Spirit to tell you she's waiting in the parking lot.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, there was 4 guys waiting at the back of the church. We were getting ready to come out, and my wife says to me, "I'll see you at the car." And so I talked to my 4 friends, and their question was, why is the market trying to steal our soybeans?
Dang.
Yeah, right.
Big words.
It's like a collusion.
Now, who is the market? Who are they maddest with?
Well, they're mad at the elevators. The elevators in their
Is someone taking the elevator's cut?
evidently the elevators big cut in their opinion.
Big cut this year, that's for sure, on beans.
Yeah, well, there people in the grain business understand that right now we have a few situations that have led to the fact that soybean basis is very low, historically, in the historically lowest perspective. Like up around me in Iowa there, we've got beans at the processor in Council Bluffs that is 55 under, which is about 25, 30 cents cheaper than normal.
And what if you go north from there?
And you go north from there, our friends up in, the interesting thing is I had first heard that there were elevators in North Dakota that were not going to take beans at all. And it turns out that they're going to take some beans as long as they got room to put them in bins, and then they're going to stop. But we did have a customer this week tell me that they are in fact not going to take soybeans this year. So, you're seeing numbers like $1.90, $1.75 under. They will probably be at $2 at some point during harvest this year.
Is that more than usual?
Only by about $1.50.
Okay.
But that's the perception. And what I said to these guys was, well, what would you do if you owned a processor? How much would you pay for soybeans? And it was real interesting to hear their initial reaction was, well, I would pay enough to make the farmer make money.
I mean, that's first and foremost every day.
Obviously. You got to be looking out for those guys.
Yeah.
Somebody should.
And I said, well, but you're the owner of the processor. What would you do? The one gentleman thought for a minute, and he says, well, I wouldn't pay any more than I have to. That's what's going on. The reality is there is no export market for soybeans on rail at this point. So with no bid, the processors don't have to pay as much to buy beans that they need.
Yeah, and it's actually not even a function, you could argue, of what they need to pay to get beans. It's a function of what they don't need to pay to keep them away from them.
Right. And that's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And, and we went on to have a little bit better conversation, which is honestly what I usually go to in these types of situations. By saying the basis is too low or too wide, that inherently, to me, I hear that person saying, well, the futures market's right, the cash market's wrong.
Which blows my mind that's a thing.
Which is in fact the case when somebody says the basis is too low, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, how do you know that it's not the cash market, right, and the futures are low or too high? And they looked at me like I had 3 heads.
Nothing's ever too high. Nothing can be too high.
Well, and I understand from the producer perspective, they would always like to have more than what there is. That's a human nature. We would like to have more. So it's very difficult when you're thinking about things in terms of basis, is realizing that the futures market's determined by all these things about people's opinions about whether in relation to supply and demand, which should be worth more or less. And the reality is it's a common place where that's where the number trades. Mm-hmm. And basis is very same thing happening in the cash market, is trying to find that place to where that person pays what they have to get what they need.
Yep.
And if they're getting too much, what's the natural thing to do? I need to keep it away from me, your words, And so I'm going to pay less. That's what's going on. The fact is demand is not great. And so the market's reflecting that.
So you say that in terms of the processor, and we can understand that, right? Try to buy it as cheap as I can because I'm making this product and inputs need to be low price, right? Okay. But why are the elevators doing it?
Well,
They're not making anything except basis.
You're onto something there.
There we go.
Yeah,
Elevators
well, it's
cut.
all about collusion.
Why are the elevators doing it? Just because the processors are?
That's the funny thing is a lot of people, the farmers will say that there's a lot of collusion going on. The markets are, all these elevators get together and decide they're not going to pay what beans are worth. That's really not how it works.
I thought they got together to determine to pay what the beans are worth.
Oh, they talked about FM.
How many shakes of the pen do you do?
How much are we going to tell people their FM is this year?
Yeah.
It's all probe before the scale. Which, it's the idea, right? It's like, well, the question in my mind, the follow-up question is, well, where do you think the elevators sell to?
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing. The markets are, the cash market is determined by how much freight does it take? What does it cost to get it from point A to point B? Where do I get the handling margin that I need to pay my expenses and try and get a return on my investment? Mm-hmm. It's really that simple. So, it's we were talking at lunch about, why don't we all get together and decide we're going to pay $1 under? Well, that would be great if it would ever work that way.
Right. It's prisoner's dilemma, right? Type thing.
But you and I both know that if you have 6 elevators sitting there together, and they say, yeah, we're all going to agree to pay $1 under. You know what's going to happen, right? There's going to be that one guy that says, okay, you guys will go pay $1 under. And you see the next day on his bid sheet and on his website, 75 under. He's going to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah, give me some new customers finally.
Yeah. So, the market will police itself to a certain
degree. I'm going to
degree.
win basis and harvest. Watch me. I'll fill up first.
I'll pay too much and get full.
Well, that's the thing with basis is most merchandisers, like, I won't say all because I don't believe that all of them understand what the function of basis is. Basis is a signal to the market of whether you want more grain or not. That's what it is. And too many times farmers see that and they see it as a low basis at this elevator or buyer is their failure to be in the market with everybody else. That's not how it works. It could be. Likely it's because we're full. We don't want anything else. We're dropping the basis.
I have what I need.
Right. But they don't see it. They see it as you're not competitive now. Well, you're right. I'm not because I don't need to be. I'm full.
I'm not competing right now.
I'm not competing right now.
But
it's harvest. Don't you want my bushels? No.
Which
I
is
don't.
something
like
that's going to come up this year.
Absolutely.
This is going to come up this year because you're going to see places, because of the situation, they are going to get full. Their bids are going to drop, and the elevators,
they're going to go to no
be
bid.
very upset.
They're going to go to no bid, which is going to do two things. One, someone's going to make a killing buying cheap basis. This is we all know Danny Brown, as he said, I'll buy $2 under anything. Or buy anything for $2 under, and which is, you're probably going to make money on that. You can, if you can own it at that level and buy yourself some time vis-a-vis carry spreads, you'll probably come out all right on it if you can put it somewhere. But the thing that I see happening is a lot of these companies, which up in that part of the world, a lot of co-ops probably, pressure from patrons to keep buying, and there's probably going to be some boards that limit how low they can put their basis. It's going to happen.
It will happen.
Against all economic thought and reason. And what's going to happen is they're going to buy what is probably a historic low basis for them. And then it's also, before it's all said and done, is going to be owning it too expensively. They're going to own it at a high
lowest basis
under,
ever, and
we
worst
never paid
basis
$1
ever.
under, and we get it, and then the best they can sell for later on is a $1.15 under. They're going to lose.
It will be real easy to identify those.
It's going to happen.
Those people that let somebody else dictate what they're going to pay.
Yep.
And continue to pay, continue to buy. It'll be really easy to identify those folks come the end of harvest. They'll be the ones with the great big piles on the ground.
And you're going to have guys sell another crop, be it wheat or corn or whatever, to get it out of the way for no margin, handle beans for probably little to no margin as well.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but that's going to be a story that is repeated this time.
Because I mean, I was tongue in cheek earlier about elevators and why is their basis lower and everything. Obviously, they're reselling to these processors, and that's just the market they're in. And they have their typical, like you said, it's freight, maybe a handling margin of some amount, and that's their bid. But once they fill up, and you still want to bring them, the processor's bid didn't change. Now your bid's dropping 20, 30 cents. Well, yeah, because anything I take in, I can't carry anymore. I can't pick up any spreads, basis. I have to just puke it out immediately. So I have to have more margin in those bushels, or like you said, I don't want the bushels. I'd love for you to find a better place for them where you can make more money, and I don't have to go through that headache of taking in, turning it out for less margin, honestly, than I'm going to make on the other bushels.
Or worst case scenario, what could happen in a year like this is negative margin.
Absolutely.
That could happen real easy this year.
Unders on profit. Don't want those. And so we're talking beans. That's the bigger thing right now up there, or everywhere, for that matter. But you're talking about using basis as a market signal, and there are some ethanol companies in that part of the world that are notorious for filling up, shutting down, whatever, and still posting a high basis and
Posting a bid.
raising.
So that kind of throws confusion in everything too, and it's like, well, why aren't you matching them? We'll go sell it to them. Well, I can't because they're full. Well, take it up with them. I'm not the one bidding something I can't buy. I'm bidding something I can buy here.
I can't sell it to them either. So.
We've actually seen a lot of that this summer where
Just
there would
ridiculous.
There would be basis
thing.
levels quoted for like harvest delivery. And the elevator would call the ethanol plant and say, "Hey, I'll sell you 200 at that 10 under you got." And say, "Oh, we're not buying.
We're not serious with that bid. It's just
we're not really buying anything at that number, or we won't let you sell that number." The guy says, "Could I sell it during the session?" Well, the session's open. Would you sell that? Can I sell you that number at flat price? Thinking he would catch the guy. And the guy says, "Well, you can call and try." That's literally the way he put it.
You can call
and try
That's incredible.
to sell us. So basically what they're saying is, this is a bid, but it's not real. So you probably should just ignore it.
Clowns.
We had a customer who, same sort of situation, wanted to make a sale. They're like, we're not doing that right now, even though that's our bid. We're not doing it. But this same organization had a farmer's portal where it's all done digitally. You can sell, and he could sell the large amount of bushels that he wanted to sell by clicking the button. So he got on and he logged in and he sold the thing, and it's digital. So the computer says your bid is this, so you want to buy things, done. And it auto hedges and whatever, and it's done. And so the person who he had just talked to that said they wouldn't buy anything calls him and is like, "You got a sale?" He said, "Yeah, I thought maybe you guys wanted it from farmers, so I sold it from
I didn't think you
farmers."
understood me.
Oh, no, I
it.
didn't want to make a deal with a person. I thought I'd do it with a computer
love
instead.
to see it. Incredible.
So, yeah, I mean, so from that standpoint, I mean, a lot of larger companies or users have the internal, like the corporate mentality of if a farmer wants to sell us, we're always open for a farmer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But if an elevator, a commercial wants to sell us stuff, well, sometimes we just need to leave that for farmers and whatever. So,
Yeah, that's unfortunate because it really jeopardizes relationships.
Well, it's an
when that
optics
happens.
thing, right? And
It is.
and a lot of the elevator folks that deal with companies like that. Again, I'm going to pick on ethanol because that's where you hear it mostly. Is okay, yeah, you won't deal with me now, but in June and July when you need corn, I'll have it and I'll tell you the price and you'll pay it, and that'll be it.
It's very short-sighted,
Right.
and it comes from that mentality of people that aren't really in the grain business, a C-level suite, as Roger would say, overlooking at things. Said, I bet if we bought from the farmers instead of that middleman, that'd make us more money. So let's make a corporate goal of buying 20% more from farmers than we do from commercials, and then all this stuff happens after.
I always wonder, if someone ever can go into those meetings, the elevators are buying from farmers, so we are too. This could be
try
done.
that.
Yeah, but
20% more. I'll just buy it from one guy.
Hey, but they're taking the elevator's cut right out of the middle, and we can keep that for ourselves, is what they think. But it never materialized.
Well, it was really interesting to finish up with what those guys were talking about at church was their perception of when I told them, I said, look, you have to understand that the elevator typically will make about the same amount of money off every bushel, whether the price is at $3.50 or $8. And that blows their mind. What do you mean? You're working on a percentage basis. I said, we work on a lot of things on percentage in the grain business. Margin is not one.
Cents, not percents.
Yeah. So, it's something that if the farmers would actually take time to understand how the elevator does make its money. I mean, we've had that conversation with farmers that are talking about getting into the business. I know you've had that conversation. All of us have had that conversation. And I'll bet 80% of the time when we start talking to them about what margins they can expect to work on and get, they're like, seriously? I'm
Truck
going to do
driver
it for
made
that?
more than you, and I saw what he did to your bathroom. This is a travesty.
I mean, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy that they have this perception of these big, huge margins that we're going to get. And the reality is that it's nowhere near that.
Yeah. Yeah, that farmers do look into occasionally like, how's the elevator making money? Where are they getting so that I can have it? Because that should be mine. I put in the work to grow the grain. It's my money.
And they should get the return to the ground on that.
And this is the thing is, once you figure it out, it's like, okay, well, you got to have space to do it. Well, I don't want to build space. Maybe I don't want to put that sort of money up.
And you don't get that return.
Well, yeah.
That's how it works.
He who has the space gets to make the rules.
Yeah.
On
that, yeah.
Or their banker.
Right. Well, that's true. That's true.
Okay. I want to pivot. First of all, I don't know if anyone's noticed on the video. I guarantee no one's noticed on listening to our podcast and not watching it. But we got these great koozies now. They look like grain bins.
They look just like our old koozies.
They look like
with the new logo.
With the new logo, it says elevator's cut. And the other
Jason
side,
went all Cracker Barrel on us.
it says
and
hashtag win basis, which is what you got to
hope
do.
there's no backlash.
First thing you got to do is win basis.
I just noticed that.
Just like the first thing the processor would want to do is make sure the farmer's making a profit. The first thing you want to do is win that basis.
That's
So you
great.
got to win basis. Anyways, so we're not selling these. They're not for sale. You can't buy them, but if you want them,
If you got to
let us know.
ask, you can't afford it.
We just want to lose money on these things. We want to send them to people. So if you
You got
want
to keep
them,
the post office in business.
if you want them, let us know. Get at DM us on whatever media outlets Randy has us attached to these days, and we'll get you a koozie. Have fun. Roger will
Flip-flop,
send it.
TikTok, whatever. That's the thing.
So
Do you do the
I-
TikToks?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't either. Randy takes care of all that.
he's the best.
Is TikTok real? I mean,
Maybe is
do they still make
reality
the two
real?
lines up and down and across?
That's tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe.
Oh, that's different. I see.
right. Nice one. Hey, we got dad jokes, man. Wow, 3 dads up
Dad
here. We
jokes.
can do it. Granddad jokes for this guy.
Yes,
so
sir.
They're
Yeah.
on another level.
Yes, I.
Okay. Something else that I would like to discuss. You were telling us about it was an event you did, and a guy was asking you about about new crop and what it had to be because of the supply and demand balance sheet, and so it has to be
And the way the
something,
crop
correct?
looked.
The way the crop looks.
Yeah.
What the market
First
is,
of
the
all,
way the crop looks.
It's not out there. Tassels are wrapped.
No
And
pollen's getting out of there.
ain't
And
no way.
disease is rampant. And
Yeah.
we may only have
Didn't he say 2/3
2/3 to
of a normal
3/4 of a normal crop.
And this is in what part of the world?
This was in Iowa.
2/3 of a crop in Iowa this year, huh?
Yes.
It's a bold projection.
Yeah, and
So
and
why
wrong.
do you think all these outlets put all these high yields out there? They just want the farmers to have bad prices.
Absolutely.
Is that their goal?
Well, yeah, it was really funny because this guy that I was talking to was with a large organization that promotes corn,
Oh, that's good.
and as he was telling me how bad the shape the crop was in,
Orville Redenbacher's.
I asked him, I said, can you stop right there? I just have one question to ask you before we continue the conversation. Just how much old crop corn do you have left in your bin? And it was really funny. He takes 2 steps back, puts his hands up, and goes, I don't see what that has to do with anything. And I said, thank you very much. I think I know exactly. I said, is it half? Well, yeah, but what that got to do with anything? It's like, how bad the crop looks sometimes is direct proportion to how much old crop you still have left in the bin unsold.
That's exactly right.
It's just true. It's true. But, honestly, it always used to be that Pro Farmer Tour would always have their bus load of guys that would go out.
Steal grain out of people's fields.
And trespass on people's property.
I can't believe the criminality there.
Yeah, and it was always funny because I did talk to a friend of mine that actually went on that and was part of it. And he said, it was real interesting because you work in groups of, I think, 3 guys together, teams, and you've got this string and you hook it on stalks and then you count rows and number of years and everything. And then you go back and you do the calculations that give you the yield. There's these certain protocols that are supposed to be followed. Well, the guy told me, he says it was very interesting to hear the different groups you get matched up with day to day on the tour and how different guys some would just walk so many steps into the field, whatever was there was there. Other guys would take a look at where they would put the hooks and the stalks. And, well, that ear may not amount to much when it's all said and done, so we're not going to count that one.
Obviously.
I mean, believe it or not, there is some bias involved in.
I can't believe
I
can't believe there's bias in anything to do with humanity.
This is probably
unbelievable.
Earth-breaking. This will probably be on CNN and everything else in Fox News about.
I thought it just went by how green the satellite pictures were.
But I don't think they could pick up tassel wrap or rust rot.
He's probably right.
I don't know.
Brown snap.
Well, it's really interesting though, because when you get out there and you look at it, and the yield is going to be there, and what's interesting,
the yield is there in the places
it's there, and the for a lot of folks,
right there.
Look at
it's not there. I know. Yeah, but you're from Arkansas.
Well, listen, I talked to a guy down south today. He said it's not as good as expected.
Right. Well, and that's funny because we had a couple of meetings last week where they said our customers said exactly the same thing. That it's probably not as good as we thought it was going to be, 3-4 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So it's not quite going to be a record yield this year,
but still above average.
It's still going to be above average,
and a good bit of acres I think were planted as well. So
yeah,
the bins will be overflowing. I don't think anybody's disputing that.
I don't think that'll be a problem. Filling up the bins will not be full.
The bags, shortage on bags. You hear about this?
No.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Probably. I heard it on social media, so probably.
So probably not.
But there's so many things having to be stuffed with corn this year.
So since there's less bags, does that mean prices of corn will be higher? Right?
No.
Maybe.
Yes. Maybe. Yes. But the reality is that we're going to see guys doing things that they shouldn't probably do this year. You'll see
this
guys.
Year.
Well, every year, but
it continues.
Whenever you see a big crop where there's logistical issues, like we're going to see with the soybeans and things, that'll cover over into the corn, right? Because there'll be guys taking corn bins. Not a lot of people. Well, let's put it this way: anybody that has done it before will not pile beans outside. That's probably a good way to put it.
They can help it.
They got to in the Dakotas.
There's going to be so many piles of beans up there. Mount Beanmore.
They don't have bugs. Bugs haven't made it that far north.
They're still
When was the last time you went to South Dakota?
I don't know.
Is there mosquito problems in beans?
Yeah. But the reality is there's going to be some things that you're going to see people doing silly things just to try and make excuses.
To get by, right? Because it's like, here we are. We've done nothing, and now the decisions are to be made.
Here's the deal. So this year, so I'm going to ask you about this because you do a lot of farmer meetings. You know what the farmers should do. You tell them what to do all the time, and they listen to you, right?
That one did.
Okay. This year it's a completely different year. Throw your history books out the window. Like throw your histories out the window because nothing's the same anymore. And
Step in the same river
what
twice.
we had this year is the high of D's corn thus far was set in February. Literally never happened. So, one, how were they supposed to do any better than they did? Because they're supposed to wait till May and July or later. And two, why did the government make it do that?
Why did the government make it do that? That's a good one.
Because crop insurance was set in February, so the government made it as high as possible right then. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is an interesting thing you said.
When you talked about the highs always in May and June, and I know we've talked before about how the seasonal charts say that when you take averages like 5, 10, 15, 20-year averages, that when you take the highs for each day and you average it, and on the December futures or November beans, and or what is it, July wheat, September wheat?
Yeah, no one likes wheat anyway.
That we do that, but you look at it, and the thing people forget is those are averages. That the average.
When everybody knows averages aren't real.
It says it right
So
there
as
on
my
the
friend
chart.
says.
Averages never happen. It's just
Actually, they could if you sold every day.
Ooh, snap.
Then you would get average. I'm just saying.
well, if my aunt had, well, never mind. But I'm just saying it
This
doesn't
comes
happen.
in the same category as if grandma had wheels, she'd be a wagon.
Yes, yeah. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about, Grandma.
I don't never heard this.
You have never heard that before?
Nope.
Yes, that's a real saying. My
Have you heard
grandfather
this?
Hansen.
No, but I thought she'd be a robot if she had wheels.
Yeah, well, it was really funny because every time you would say, well, if this would have happened, then that would have been right. And he would always say, and if grandma had wheels, she'd be a wagon.
That's a way
So
better
there you go.
way
You
to
can
say it.
Now, if nothing else, the people on there can learn new sayings, new phrases
So when you say on there, what are you talking about?
on the thing we're doing.
Grandma
podcast.
wagons and dripping riz.
Yeah. So
all the things.
So, but no. First of all, the government didn't have anything to do with it. It's people's perceptions of what the government has said.
That's deep.
Pretty deep, huh? Old guys think about stuff that way. But no, I mean, in reality, that's what makes the futures market goes up and down. It's really about people's perceptions of
and
the information.
perception is reality.
The numbers speak for themselves.
That's right. Numbers speak for themselves, and there's no accounting
always
for taste.
changed, and always change.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But yeah, so a farmer that has gone through this year, we can have sympathy for it was tough. Like if it was me in February, maybe I would have sold some, but I
Not
wouldn't have been
much.
aggressive.
Nobody
because I
thinks so
haven't
much.
planted it yet, and typically seasonally we should get it, after the crop's in the ground anyways, and there's not a lot of urgency. But then now you get out there and we're like, well, it's down. It's got to have a rally at some point. It never happened. So, I mean, your perspective on this year. So it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it and say, well, you just should have sold it all earlier.
Right.
But it just kind of kept the trajectory down.
Yeah.
And, we would say, I think, like there are certain points in the year where even if you haven't sold anything yet,
Get some
probably got to go ahead and get something sold,
End
right?
of June's probably a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say there? And so a guy goes through the year and he hadn't sold. Where do you start? Like we got to do something.
Let's take my 4 friends from Sunday. The one guy had sold 10% of his crop back in March.
Okay.
The other 3 had not sold anything yet at all at that point. And they said, what should we do right now? And I said, well, where are you at on your break even? And these guys that I've talked to for the last 45 years said what I thought that we would have talked about before is that, well, my average yield is this, and it cost me this to raise it, so my break even is this price per bushel. And the first question I asked them then was, what are you expecting for a yield? The break even was for your average yield.
Right, exactly.
Your average production history, your APH. Are you only expecting that? Well, no. How much are you expecting? And to a person, for us in our area, what they said they were expecting their yields to be was about 20% above that average. I said, okay, look, you have to recalculate what your cost of the per bushel is, because it is revenue times yield is where you get your revenue per acre.
Jason's writing down the formula right there. This is good
That
stuff.
must have been really profound then. No, but I mean,
Keep notes.
that's the thing that guys have a tendency to forget, is that it can change. Your break-even price
Well,
changes.
we won't know till the combine's in the field. Right?
Sure.
But
We don't know till that guy with the
case,
string shows up.
Even if that's the case,
And how long is it?
you have some degree of less uncertainty the closer you get to the combine getting in the field. So you can say
That's right.
it's the middle of September. I'm not going to go off my APH because I have eyeballs and I can see.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
going to be something more than that. Be conservative, that's fine, but still, it's something different than your APH.
And
So these guys go through that mental exercise. Are they at break evens or close to it, or where are they at? Did you get that deep?
It was really funny, the response from the one guy, and I got to laughing so hard that the other three guys, I just realized just now that they never really answered the question, which may tell you something. The one guy said, well, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, but our cost of production goes up with these higher yields. Oh, really? Why would your cost of production change with a higher yield?
More trips to town, you know?
He said, well, there's more wear and tear on the combine. I've got to make more trips to town.
Can't put a price on that.
Literally.
Except you can. And
Wait, no, because they have free freight. They own the truck. There's no cost. We've established
Diesel's
this fact.
outrageous.
Have you
my
seen
guy.
what drive tires don't cost? It's unbelievable. Exactly. Think
I
about
have
it
to
for a
process
bit.
that one. Or as my Canadian friends would say, process it.
There you go.
But no, and after laughing, I realized that what he was really trying to tell me was that they're going to be just fine. I think in most cases the guys are going to be at least be able to hold their own this year. I mean, that's the concern a lot of the lenders have out there.
Oh, yeah.
I read a lot of articles that say it's a pretty dire situation this year, more than ever, something we've never seen, and that unless the government comes in and steps in the gap here.
Can we already just say the government's done enough help for this year?
What have they done this year?
I don't know. We can't export any beans right now. That has something to do with it.
Just what we need, more government help.
That's right.
But, here's the thing. First of all, I'll take issue with something you said, that none of this has ever happened before. It's really funny because I had a guy not that long ago tell me that I just didn't realize how tough it was out there right now because we've never seen interest rates this high.
Never been.
Well, I told that 25-year-old.
Was he talking about like him and his wife? Or
I have no idea who we were. Maybe I should have qualified it. But the reality
Children
is, if
definitely
you
have it.
think this is hard right now, I understand. And you think about it, we're probably at between last August and this year are probably some of the lowest prices a lot of these producers have ever seen cash.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. But ask the guys how it was in the late 70s, early 80s.
I've read history books.
And I mean, I went through it having to talk to farmers at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And, people talk about the hard conversations they have with their producers. They haven't seen anything yet. Those were hard. I mean, you had genuine guys that said, I do not know if I am going to get a credit line to farm next year. What do I do? I mean, that was a regular conversation.
Yeah, that stinks.
And I'm not going to say there won't be some sales this year because there
will be. There's
There will
already
be.
some happening. Yeah.
And I think that what we have to do is especially in the elevator business is not discount how these guys are feeling because it is new to a lot of them.
Right. And so to that point, what do you do? Here we are, and we can hindsight all we want. It doesn't help the situation. So the people I've been talking to on the origination side of things, it's like, look, run the numbers, see where you're at. And at least up to this point, which is not very far north with the corn harvest, but in a lot of places, the yields were more than making up to get above that break-even point. Guys are selling.
Yeah.
Or close, getting done with it. The last thing you want to do is throw more cost into it, in my opinion. Quit, just sell it and be done with it. If it's close enough, don't put it on stores, don't put it on DP. Just look at the price if it's close enough to go with it. Easy for me to say. I get that. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to help these guys, and the effective originators out there they've been doing this, is like, look, get this. But while we're doing this, every, wheat, corn, beans, they all have a carry in their cash price to new crop, 26.
Yeah.
26 beans, 26 corn, 26 wheat, hard or soft. Better prices than now. If you want to try to avoid something like this next year, let's get a start on it now. Get some sales on, get some targets in.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a big percentage of stuff this far out. It never is. But if you want to help someone make their day a little better, give them the chance to take an action that helps improve their situation. And that's one of the few ways you can do that right now. There's not a whole lot else you can do.
You made a really good point right there, Roger, about not throwing more money after the bad situation. And I think that's something that a lot of the really good elevators are starting to really think about this year, is how they're going to have those conversations. Because with storage costs and price later charges, everybody's raised those because of the situation in the market.
The carries are big, bases are low. So that's when you see bigger DP storage fees, because
we saw last Thursday somebody mentioned that one of the river terminals is up to a 60-cent drop fee and 10 cents a month on soybeans for this fall.
Where's that at?
Sounds like St. Louis.
God bless them.
North of St. Louis.
All right.
How about that? But
they're not afraid.
Well, but the reality is that's because the basis is so low. The basis risk is great.
Yeah.
And they're having to resell stuff into a low value market to make room. So they're just covering their expenses. But on the other side of that, it does lead to an opportunity for the guys that either haven't done anything or haven't done much to go out there and say, look, maybe what we should be doing right now is thinking about, I understand about not wanting to give up, about wanting more. Mm-hmm. Let's do something to limit the bad things that can happen, both from an expense standpoint and price standpoint.
Right.
The worst mistake people can make when their perception is the market's low is that it can't get any lower.
Yes.
I mean,
and we're in September.
It has to pay us a profit at some point.
Maybe it did. It doesn't have to going forward.
It never has to do anything.
That's exactly right.
The market doesn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So what a lot of folks are doing is they're taking and making those comparisons of, if you want to have some time, do a minimum price contract, buying the option to go with it, sell the grain, turn it into cash, pay off the bank, pay down your interest.
Have a floor.
And you know right up front when you do it what the worst case scenario is.
Yeah, because you've been paid.
You've been paid. You've got the fee is set up front. For this length of time, here's the worst thing can happen to me.
Right. And especially on corn, that fee will be much less than what you're going to have to pay.
At the money to March, like 20 cents, to May's 25.
DP and storage is going to cost you a lot more than that. And
interest almost costs you as much as loan. I mean, for the farmer, even if he doesn't have anything outstanding, just the value of money.
Yeah. Well, and see, the mistake is here. I had a guy a while back tell me that he wasn't too worried about this fall because he had a floor under his crop.
Crop insurance?
I said, well, what do you mean? You talking about crop insurance? He goes, no, I did a basis contract.
Partial floor.
You're taking away 4% of the risk of your crop.
The look on his face when I explained to him, I said, okay, you have a floor on the basis. You've also got a ceiling on your basis. Your basis is fixed.
You have a stairway landing on the second floor. Is what you have.
But you have no rails at all on the futures price, and it was like he looked like I had three heads again.
And these
like,
guys, if they roll basis contracts, good grief. It's
so the idea of going to something where and you said before about the situation could be where guys are just going to have to sell. That's their choice. The elevators that are really good right now are already starting to talk to their farmers about minimum price.
Mm-hmm.
there's two reasons for that. One, it's probably good for the farmer. The other thing is, if I talk to them about it now, when it comes to the point where I have to make them sell, and I'm not offering price later or storage anymore, so they have to sell it. Now, there is another alternative that lets them stay in the market and not be forced into giving up.
Right. We had was in Columbus, Ohio this week. I forget the weeks. It was this week for a summer regional meeting up there with grain elevator folks in that area. And God bless Ohio, they set their DP fees right. Corn till the end of the year for harvest is like 25 cents drop minimum charge and 10 cents a month thereafter. Beans is like 35 to 40 cents into the year with 15 cents a month after. It's like, yeah. And it's like the whole reason those are set that way is one, because it's commensurate to the value of they're giving up to basis trade. But two, when producers are like, I can't believe you're charging it. I don't want you to do this. That's why I'm setting this up this way. I don't want this to be a thing. I have to make it an option, but I'm not wanting you to do it for these reasons. And
I can make the money without taking it from you.
Yeah, I don't want to take it out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And so seeing that, and then the whole comparison of saying, look, well, here, these corn's 420-ish. They were bidding 50 under for new crop, so 370 cash. Well, if you do that, if you just store it or DP it till the end of February, you're at 350 or something. I mean, it was, it was whatever that math's out to, 40 cents or something. It's a lot. What's the cost of a minimum price out to there? At the money March corn option was 20 cents.
Yeah.
371, 351,
cost to the farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, show them what the money would be in this day, all three options comparable, and say, what do you choose? And 9 times out of 10, when guys see this or presented this, they'll just sell it, be done with it. Yeah, I see the difference, but the higher number I want, so I'm just going to sell it and not do anything.
Yeah, you can have that right now.
And that's usually the right answer.
Well, it is funny because, like in those farmers meetings that I've done over the years, and we'll talk about minimum price contracts, and it's hilarious that you'll talk about these, and the farmers will go, I've done those before, they don't work. And their perception about what not working means.
Right.
Just like insurance.
It's like
Doesn't work.
I bought this option, and I said, okay, now let's understand that you get any increase in the futures from the time you do this, right? Yes. And their perception is at the end, which they all wait till the end to price, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything because the market's at or below where it was when you did it. How did it not work? It just didn't work the way you thought it was going to work. You thought you were going to get more. What it really did was give you the money sooner at less cost. And you didn't. I mean, even the farmers now at the farmers meetings lately, they're not calling it price later anymore. They're calling it price lower. And it's so accurate. It's the best descriptor of that program.
So the minimum price thing, you take the when it expires worthless or whatever. It's I don't know. It's a better way to say, well, what should I have done? Well, I guess I should have just sold it all across.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about, right? Usually that's the case.
That was the highest price
that's
at
what we
the
were
time.
telling you.
That was the best price at the day we talked about this, was just selling and being done.
And by the way, since we're talking about this right now, there was one thing I was going to make sure, because I know a lot of the people that ask me to do farmers meetings watch your podcast or listen to your podcast, right?
That's unfortunate.
Well,
Apologies.
here's the thing.
They will now. We got a pro in here.
I will tell you. I will tell you that I am going to start a new rule this next year.
I'm thinking about that processing and processing. We say a lot of things with pro. Like, so we have a pro in here. Maybe we have a pra.
Well, we'll have to ask about that. But
they're talking about like fake shrimp.
I have a new rule next year for my podcast or for my farmers meetings.
No PowerPoints?
If anybody asks me a question about something they've seen or read on social media, they have to leave.
Hey, man, that's where people
because they're
get
not
their
going to believe what I
information
tell them
these days.
anyway.
You know what you should do is tell them you're going to live TikTok this or whatever live streaming of TikTok is called. Is it talking? Tiki-taki?
Talking? We're going to be talking today.
Talking on the TikToks.
I have a fair guess that I probably won't be doing it, but go ahead.
And just see what they do there. Everybody wants to be on the social medias. They'll do whatever you say.
Okay.
Pyramid scheme.
Okay. Non sequitur, real quick.
Hey-o!
What? No. Go. Actually, it's not. But going back to what we were saying. Okay, we got this year, and guys, see, all right, basis is really low at harvest. This sucks. Prices are low. Basis is low. There is big carries in the market, but maybe I'm a farmer that has space, so I don't have to participate in that because I have the ability to just wait till things get better.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, so is that the way to look at it?
It sounds like a great idea.
So can we discuss this a little bit?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're here. It's the Harvest Time companion episode. We got time.
I have lots of
What's
thoughts
on your
on
mind,
this.
Roger?
Yeah, it's the whole stick it in there because there's a carry in the market. You got to sell something. Just put it out there. If you want to lock in a carry to the May on corn, sell some May futures. Boom, done it. Sell May cash price. Boom, done it. Sell nothing, you've done nothing. You just stick it in the bin and nothing's happened. You've sold nothing.
You got a minimum
You've
price
locked in
contract without the minimum.
You've locked in nothing but the bin door. That's the only thing you've locked in.
Or the price.
Yeah. I think there's a fair bit of guys that understand it, but I think there's the overwhelming majority do not understand that. I blame the bin companies because they just hey, build this, make monies. Okay.
These elevators are doing good. Everybody can see it this year.
And it's only because they have a
huge.
bin. That's the only way they're making money.
Because they have a bin. Because they buy stuff and they just wait for things to get better.
They do nothing in between.
If only it was that easy.
So yes, low futures, relatively speaking, because we are not worried about running out on the macro level, big level, right?
Right.
Low basis because locally there's not enough space to put all this stuff, right? High DP fees, storage fees, because there's low basis and wide carry spreads, big carry spreads, strong carries out of harvest, which means your space is worth more for having owner's basis. So the farmers got all three things going against them. Unfortunately, this year at harvest, low cash, low, which is a function of low futures and low basis, and high fees. That's not going to change. So I just wanted to put that out there. Why is everything low? Well, there's reasons why. It's not just someone sitting around and saying this needs to all be low.
The elevator. So to go back, I guess we assume people know a lot of things. We gloss over things too quickly.
Absolutely,
maybe.
we do.
But the elevator puts it in, and you say, "Hey, then they don't do anything, right?" Well, they do things, right?
Well, yeah, that was tongue in cheek.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
right. But what do they do? Well, the elevator, when they buy the grain at harvest, immediately sells, which is what we're saying. If you have a thing, you should. They sell futures.
We call that a hedging trade.
A hedging trade. They sell futures, but what that does is, yes, then they wait. But the first thing they do is remove all price risk.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is putting in the bin to get more price risk.
Yes.
And when they put it in the bin, they get rid of price risk immediately because there's no money there's no return to space in risking prices every year. Some years it could work great. A lot of years it's going to work terribly and break your business. In my opinion, farmers that use their bins in that way, the price speculative way, their farm is subsidizing a losing grain business.
Absolutely. They're trying to get the return to the acre
overall
crop out of the bin, which at the expense of the return to the bin.
Correct.
Happens all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
And guys think that's what bin is for. No, it's not.
Well, it's really interesting that you guys have talked about it in this fashion because I got this question in June doing some farmers meetings that they asked the question, what do I think? And this is how they worded it. What do you think of selling the carry? How would you answer that? I mean, it's a loaded question, kind of.
Sell deferred sales, right? Is that what they're saying?
Well, I mean, basically, I thought that's what he was asking. But they were talking about, I said, explain to me what you mean by that. And he said, well, there's such big carry out there. It seems like that putting it in the bin and then selling it against that carry is good. I said, you understand when you say sell the carry that you have to sell it.
It's a verb.
There's an action that is taking place. It is a verb.
Yeah.
And it goes to what you were talking about, Jason, the fact of putting it in a bin to sell later against a deferred month is not selling the carry.
Yes.
It is not selling the carry. All you're doing is putting off making a selling decision because in your mind, the carry, and it's amazing how many farmers think about it this way. Because there's carry in the market, that must mean the market thinks it's going higher.
Well, the market's telling you it's higher out there today.
I mean, that whole
paying you to
fundamental,
carry.
that whole fundamental about the relative value of the futures months. They're saying, look, I will pay you this much if you want to bring it now. I will pay you this much more if you want to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, but some action has to be taking place.
You have to,
with
if you're going to sell it, you have to
marketing.
sell the carry.
I got to say, I started a really good discussion there. Randy might want to timestamp that. I mean, that was a great little discussion.
I'm not done.
I didn't say you
So-
were, but I just wanted to
Okay.
bring that to Randy. Go ahead.
I had it pointed out to me, shout out to friend Ryan, and this week talking about DP, free DP, but DP in general, fees and whatnot. And we've seen this, there's a huge disparity between what DP gets charged in the Eastern Corn Belt, east of the river, say. For, not a perfect line, but and then west of the, the Western Plains, they just give space away. Love giving stuff away. Huge disparity, on fees. Like I said, we'll go what those guys in Ohio were charging versus you go out to Western Kansas, Western Nebraska. They're probably, there's no minimums, and they're probably charging 2.5 cents a month, which, whatever. That's the culture. There's differences out there. But Ryan put this to me interestingly on the DP, and I never really thought of it in these terms. Well, if you're a farmer and you've got grain in your bin, you're holding grain after harvest in your bin, and the ethanol plant or bean crusher, whoever, is offering, DP and all these farm bushels are bringing DP in there, free or otherwise, but, DP in general, getting those bushels, that's hurting the farmer that's carrying grain's ability to generate a return because it's keeping basis low, So there's ramification effects. And we kind of alluded a little bit to this at one time about the idea of the hot check list. Showing here's the people that still have grain on storage in the elevator, a month before harvest, try to shame them into selling, type of thing. So you should do that with the DP stuff. Whoever's got this, put it on here. But, the idea was this is, let's say distorting the market's not the right thing, but it is affecting the market negatively.
Well, if you think
it's not helping people by
doesn't.
by charging too cheap of fees on DP. It seems like it's a help to the farmer. It is not. It's hurting
not.
everything
It
in
is
that
not.
system.
Absolutely true. Yep.
The reason they're offering free DP, for instance, is because they want bushels to come in to process.
Right.
Keep our Canadian friends happy again. But they want the grain to process. And that's grain now that they can go ahead and process without having to pay up to get it. They already have it.
They literally didn't pay anything to get it.
Yeah.
Well, they will. They will pay, but that's the reality of the situation. Is that and free DP is a terrible thing. It's
In a carry market, for sure.
I mean, is there a time to do free DP? I've always maintained that and when I was in the elevator, I never offered free DP, ever.
I would argue that there is a time ahead of a big inversion that it could make sense.
Even in those years when we had big inversions and I was trading grain.
I didn't say I like it. I said I could make the argument.
I still charged. I might charge 2 cents from now until harvest, because I found that in many cases the farmers never remembered how much you charged them to do DP.
Yep.
But they remember if you charge them to do DP.
That's a big.
They remember free. They remember free.
Yeah.
This reminds me of another Scott Hansen quote, classic. Free is a 4-letter word that starts with F.
Yeah. So it
you've
can't
said
be
that a
good.
few years.
Right. I've said that numerous times over the years.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's gotten me in trouble.
All right. So I would be remiss if we let you get out of here before we talked a little bit about the future of ag. People ask a lot about that.
Yeah.
As a guy who knows things,
AI solves this, right?
we got Al in the mix now.
A1, yeah.
So, anyways, So, what do you see from the farmer level, from the commercial level, either or both?
My biggest concern with everything, but I think let's take the producer first, is there are some young folks that want to get into production agriculture. The entry fee is so high right now. The cost of land, the cost of equipment,
Inputs.
inputs. I mean, you think about a lot of cases, you're talking $900 to $1,000 an acre to put corn in. I mean, where does a 22-year-old that's maybe gone to tech school or something, or even a 4-year college, studied agronomy. Now he's back home, wants to get in farming. Unless you've got a wealthy dad and grandpa in the business, how are you going to get started? And people keep talking about the consolidation of things and how the farms keep getting bigger, but a lot of it's just because the kids are looking at it saying, I'm not willing to put that much money at risk. I don't have that much money to put at risk.
Right.
So that's probably my biggest concern. Now I know there are parts of the country where they're getting novel approaches to solving that issue. They're getting these older guys that maybe don't have kids that are wanting to come back to the farm, and they're saying, hey, if you'll come work for me, I've got a house on this 80 acres over here. You can have that house. I will pay the utilities. I'll give you a decent wage. I'll pay for your health care. And, they'll work a deal out where every year he'll get a bigger share of the ground to farm for himself, and he'll help finance that. Mm-hmm. So it lets those guys start to build that nest egg that allows them to build the working capital to leverage that into some other ways to do it. Mm-hmm. Now that what I've heard, I talked to a gentleman that actually did this, and he said, well, the biggest challenge is getting my kids to agree that we're going to do this. Because they actually, in his case, they made an agreement to sell him 1,000 of the 12,000 acres if he stayed with him for 15 years. And it was well below market value, but it was because of that. Now, the kid didn't make a lot during that time, but he was set up to get started going forward. So that's probably the biggest fear I have. Honestly, the biggest fear I have for our industry right now is the further consolidation, getting the businesses bigger and bigger. The idea behind a lot of these big mergers, I understand maybe from a financial standpoint of why they're doing it, but what I don't understand is some of the co-ops that are coming into these mega co-ops, that the idea is they're going to give the customer better service. We're gonna build a big train loader that we didn't have before, or something like that. And the reality of it is that they make these promises, but the reality of it is that service suffers. There are a couple notable exceptions, and there are people that we work with that have been able to pull this off and serve their customers very well. Shout out to Brian and the guys at Frontier Co-op and the other folks that we work with, that you guys have worked with over the years that do get it. But I mean, that's not the rule. They're the exceptions. And I think that's my biggest fear for the industry going forward. I think we're going to see further automation. Whoa. I invented
no
a word.
automobiles in here.
Okay. Automation of things. You're going to see us able to run elevators and load trains with 3 people.
Yeah.
It's amazing what we can do right now. And let's face it, I don't know about you guys, but I've been hearing a lot less from producers or from the elevator guys lately about, they're not coming to me as much about where people going to find people. They're finding ways to do the same amount of work with less.
Yeah.
So you have to, right? There's really no recourse.
You have to, but I am positive about it. I do think that the people that do the right thing for the producers, that try to help the producers, they can help the producers have a chance at success. And those are the ones that are going to be around. It's also why I think we're going to continue to see more of the growth in the area of where large farmers are running grain businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it's organic growth, or when these mega co-op mergers happen, they always inevitably spin off some locations, and some entrepreneurial guy says, you know what? I think I can make this work.
Yeah.
Can you think of a place where there's been a major merger that we haven't been contacted by a farmer in that area?
We see it. It just happens.
It just happens.
Yeah.
And it's not because necessarily they're doing anything wrong. It's just not what they're doing right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we're in unders.
Randy's got to get his studio back from us.
He's
He's going to wrestle control away from us if we don't end amicably right now. But no, we
know what the
appreciate
word means.
Scott for coming down and spending time with us and chatting and letting our listeners hear from someone who knows something finally.
Or let our viewers see.
That's right. That's right. You class up the joint in here. So we appreciate you for all you do, but in particular, coming down and sharing some time with us. So that's it.
That's a wrap on Harvest Companion 2020. Beep.
That's
This needs to be evergreen episode, right?
That's it. No, yeah, we'll see you again in
Evergreen.
another one.
Okay.
But thanks, Scott, for coming, and
Glad to do it.
we'll see everybody next time. As always, thanks for downloading and listening. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with folks you know in the business.
And if you'd like to reach out anytime about anything at all or have any show ideas, you can always find us on Twitter at ElevatorsCut. Follow us there, tweet at us, DM us, and we'll always respond.
Till next time, for Roger, I'm Jason.
And for Jason, I'm Roger.
Thanks for listening to the Elevators Cut.
Out.